150 to 200 pounds of sweet potatoes, 150 winter squash, several buckets of dry beans. That's a single season's harvest for a household growing its own storage crops. And in most homes, it ends up wedged into whatever corner of the basement still has floor space, next to moving boxes and half-finished projects. Within weeks, a large share of it is already going soft. The strange part, none of that has anything to do with the garden. Everything above ground can be done perfectly, and the harvest still fails, in a completely different room, for a completely different reason. This video breaks down exactly what turns a basement into a storage system that keeps that same harvest edible for the better part of a year. The equipment, what it actually costs, and the handful of details that decide whether a harvest survives the winter or doesn't. Anyone harvesting a growing volume of storage crops year after year, without a dedicated space for it, tends to end up with an improvised solution: shelving wherever it fits, bins wherever there's room. That works for a while. But the same basement that's supposed to stay cool, dark, and dry for crops is also where moving boxes and tools accumulate over the years, and without a deliberate reorganization, it slowly stops being usable for either purpose. At the volume described above, a single shelf in a corner isn't enough. Past a certain point, the problem stops being, "Where do I put this?" and becomes, "How do I still find it, check it, and use it before it spoils?" That's an equipment problem, and it has a surprisingly specific answer. The backbone of a functioning storage system comes down to a few sturdy components, at a lower cost than most people expect. Heavy-duty industrial shelving, roughly 6 feet long, with 4 shelves each 2 feet deep. Shelving of this type, Gladiator brand for example, is commonly rated by the manufacturer at up to 2,000 pounds per shelf, 8,000 pounds per unit, which is what makes it possible to stack a full harvest without the shelves themselves becoming the weak point. Food-grade black storage bins, the kind used in the food industry. New, they're available as a commercial product. Used, they can often be sourced through restaurants, food wholesalers, or online marketplace listings, usually well below retail price. Depending on contents, each bin holds roughly 50 to 100 pounds, for example when filled with potatoes. 2 extra refrigerators, for carrots, beets, and cabbage, plus upright and chest freezers for meat. Sourced used through marketplace listings or handed down from private sellers. Cost typically runs anywhere from free up to $30 per unit, not counting electricity. That's the entire cold storage half of the system for less than the price of a dinner out. Food-grade 5-gallon buckets with airtight lids, such as Gamma lids, available through agricultural suppliers like Azure Standard, for dried beans and corn, paired with oxygen absorbers to neutralize any residual moisture. A hand-crank corn sheller cuts the time needed to shell several buckets of corn from a full day of manual work down to 1 or 2 hours. None of this explains why storage still fails as often as it does. The equipment is the easy part. What actually determines whether a harvest makes it to spring comes down to a handful of details most people get wrong without ever realizing it. Most storage crops go through a similar sequence. Curing, potatoes, sweet potatoes, and winter squash are laid out unwashed in a single layer, on shelving, tables, or, if space runs short, on repurposed materials like old doors placed over storage totes. The goal is maximum airflow without letting the crops touch each other. 2. Temperature. Sweet potatoes and squash tolerate higher temperatures during curing, but should be stored afterward at 55 to 60 degrees Celsius. Potatoes ideally keep cooler, at 40 to 45 degrees Celsius, 4 to 7 degrees Celsius, a range a typical basement often doesn't reach, which is why supplemental cooling can further extend storage life. 3. Duration. Sweet potatoes usually need only 1 to 2 weeks of curing before going back into storage bins. Potatoes and squash follow a similar, sometimes longer process. 4. Light protection. Potatoes exposed to light produce solanine and turn green, a naturally occurring toxic compound. Simply draping old bed sheets over the shelving blocks out light entirely. 5. Separation by type. Onions and potatoes each release gases that speed up ripening in the other, so they should be stored in separate spaces. Onions in a garage or mudroom, for instance, rather than next to the potato shelving. 6. Sorting by ripeness. Smaller or less mature specimens go on the top shelf and get used first, while larger, fully mature ones go lower down, since they tend to hold up longer in storage. Get all 6 right, and the equipment above does its job for months. Miss even one, a strip of light hitting the potatoes, an onion sack too close to the shelving, and the whole batch can turn well before the equipment ever gets the chance. Harvesting technique as a time factor storage life is decided even earlier, at the moment of harvest. Unlike regular potatoes, sweet potatoes tend to grow in a cluster right around the plant, rather than spreading through the soil. Loosening the soil around the plant first and pulling the tubers up while still attached to the vine damages significantly fewer tubers than digging indiscriminately across the whole bed. Damaged spots on the thin ends can be snapped off before curing, so they don't become a starting point for rot. The same gap between methods shows up again at processing. Shelling beans by hand, a large harvest can stretch out over months. With the pillowcase method, filling a fabric bag with bean pods, striking it against a hard surface until the pods split, then separating chaff from beans with a fan, the same volume takes a few hours. Key details: don't overfill the bag, and strike with moderate rather than maximum force to avoid splitting the beans. Pest control. Even a perfectly cured, perfectly sorted harvest is still just food sitting in the dark, which makes rodent control the last line of defense, not an afterthought. Bait stations in the basement and attic, plus a regular brief visual check, are usually enough to keep rodents away before any meaningful damage occurs. Results. Put it all together, and the payoff is a basement that functions like a root cellar year-round. Winter squash stores for several months, with well-cured, thick-skinned batches sometimes lasting close to a year. Potatoes and sweet potatoes last well into spring. Carrots and beets, unwashed in plastic bags in the fridge, stay crisp for months. Dried beans and corn, in airtight buckets, last 1 to 2 years. A single autumn's work, still feeding a household the following summer. Why isn't this more common? If the payoff is that large and the cost is that low, the obvious question is why more basements don't look like this already. One reason: standard household shelving usually isn't rated for the weight of full bins loaded with root vegetables, pushing many people toward less sturdy, improvised solutions. A second reason is practical inertia. A basement fills up with unrelated material over the years, and a full reorganization often only happens once harvest volume leaves no other option. The necessary equipment also isn't typically visible in mainstream retail. It has to be sourced through secondhand marketplaces, food suppliers, or agricultural retailers, which takes more effort than buying a shelf at a hardware store. And buying everything new instead can quickly turn into an investment that looks larger than the benefit justifies. Fermentation as extended storage. Even cabbage, one of the least cooperative storage crops, has a second life once it stops working as a fresh vegetable. Fresh heads keep about a month in the fridge, but cabbage can also be turned into sauerkraut through fermentation. After 1 to 2 weeks fermenting at room temperature, the finished sauerkraut keeps in the fridge for many months, well beyond fresh storage alone. Additional uses. Even the waste from this process doesn't go to waste. Byproducts from harvesting, bean pod shells and corn husks, can be repurposed as extra bedding material for livestock instead of being discarded. Remaining weak point. For all of this, one gap remains. Most secondary fridge and freezer setups have no protection against power outages. Without backup power, a generator or solar battery system, an extended outage remains a real risk to the entire refrigerated and frozen stockpile, regardless of how well organized the rest of the system is. An empty basement, a few sturdy shelves, some used refrigeration, a stack of food-grade bins, and an entire year's harvest holds until spring, without a single piece of new equipment or touching a wall of the house. The harvest was never the hard part. The room it goes into afterward was. What's sitting in that unused corner right now?